let me see, who are we missing? Miss Kathy. Oh, and I have had Miss Kathy in class before. So, so first of all, welcome. And is this time okay if we have like we check in, maybe not next week, but the following week? We can kind of decide that. But does this Wednesday 6 p.m. Mountain Time, does that work okay? I know in other semesters sometimes we'll have it at 4. There's just a few of us, so we can kind of be flexible.
If possible, if we could move it, how long are we planning on meeting?
No more than an hour.
Okay, I just have obligations at 6:45 on Wednesday nights.
Oh, okay.
So I was just wondering if maybe we could move it just a little bit earlier, or I don't know. It's up to everybody, but
Would 4 o'clock work for other people? Mission?
I can be flexible. My Wednesday afternoon, I don't have any set commitment. So if I had something, it would be just like that one particular day. And so I can be flexible.
Okay. And so 4 o'clock would work okay for you, Miss Stephanie?
yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Dominica, that work for you?
Yeah, I can be flexible. I have a lot of doctor's appointments. I'm very pregnant right now, so I have a lot of doctor's appointments that usually fall around that time. But if I need to, I can just watch the recordings. So.
Okay. Yeah.
When
and you know, we don't have to stick to Wednesdays either. There's only like 5 of us, so you know, I can do a different day too if that works better, you know.
How many times are you planning on meeting?
At least 2, but I do want to be flexible in case there's more that would be helpful. Probably it's tougher than it may seem at the outset to get through the content, and so I found that it's actually easier to have a little bit of feedback, kind of face to face, rather than a lot of texting back and forth or emailing. That tends to be quicker, more efficient, but we can be flexible. We can definitely be flexible. I am not one for meeting just for the meeting sake of meeting. We're all super busy. So, Miss Chantel, any thoughts?
I definitely think it's efficient to meet more often, but I think if we have 2 that are for sure scheduled, that could be helpful to know in advance the dates. And then if there are other ones that are maybe optional, that could be helpful.
Really they're all optional in the sense that we're going to record them. So, you know, there's always that. The downside of that is that then you're not able to input. So, you know, this summer's always really busy for everyone. And so, you know, we're all trying to get travel. I know we leave for Alabama on Thursday. Friday. Friday we leave for Alabama. So we'll be on the road for a couple days. So I know a lot of other people travel during the summer as well. So we'll for sure have 2, and then we'll kind of leave it up to the group and see how it goes. Okay.
So can I just jump in really fast? I have a trip planned like the week of the 5th and then the week of the 12th. So I will not have access to Zoom class. So I don't know if we could plan and like set the day and the time, if everybody's okay with that, just so we can get it on the calendar and plan that for sure.
Let's do that. So definitely not the 5th of June, right? Is it June?
That full week. So the 5th through the 9th, and then again the 12th through the 18th.
Okay.
I won't have access
those weeks. Okay.
But I don't know about everybody else too.
Okay, well, I'll send out a poll, and we'll definitely know that these 2 weeks are off the table. And so we'll look at other options, kind because we can definitely work around that and see what other people's schedules are as well. And if it ends up that it works for everybody but one, we'll just say, well, we're recording it anyway, and we'll just try to be flexible. It's about learning, not jumping through hoops. I never think that the word busy works for teachers, because we take it to a whole new level. Busy does not capture what we do. So, okay. Well, that said, here we are Wednesday, and off with a bang in our summer semester. And so I can share my screen. I pretty much want to leave it up to you as far as, what kind of questions do you have? Did you get a chance to watch the video to see where we're going with the projects?
I have not been able to watch the whole thing, but I've watched about half of it.
Okay. No problem. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, sometimes when I'm folding laundry or something, I'll be watching something I need to watch as well. So, no problem if you have to do it in different settings. Miss Chantel?
So I'm in a similar boat as far as I watched some of it. I did have a question. I was reading the syllabus and I wanted to make sure I understood, because there were some notes. It says like does not apply to summer.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure I was understanding that properly. So expectations are obviously the reading and video content as far as that, and then completing the project.
Right.
But then discussions, things like that are not part of this course.
Yes, that's true. That's why we'll have more with Zoom instead of discussion boards. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I really thought about that, because I feel like the research shows that students actually learn more from each other than they do from the professor. And so I was a little bit concerned about taking the discussion boards off, because that's where students actually interact mostly with each other, especially in an asynchronous online course. At the same time, I thought, well, there's, we're a small group, and so that may feel a little bit like jumping through hoops. So I thought if we replace that with, getting together, we can be flexible as far as we can put 2 Zooms in and then kind of go from there and see if we need more. It's just always better to front load things rather than try to get things done at the end of the semester. We do have extra time in the sense that generally people are doing this in 7 weeks. And so then sometimes people will think, well, even 7 weeks seems like it's down the road, and then they're crunching and really trying to get a lot done in a short amount of time, and the quality shows it doesn't get the quality that it needs to. So we do have a little bit more flexibility than we would in the spring and the fall semester. Let me see if I can share my screen with you. Okay. Okay, so this is our Canvas page here. And so you're already you're at least have started watching the video of what the course is with exemplary teaching in the 21st century. And Dominica, with that, are you into that video as well to kind of know where we're going?
Yeah, I'm honestly about halfway as well.
Okay.
So on the
we're-
same boat.
It's Wednesday, we gotta pace ourselves. So, just kind of knowing where we're going, that helps a lot. So I'm very picky about academic writing in graduate school. So I put this academic writing for graduate level essential tips. So a lot of these things are just resources. So what the big project is, as Ms. Chantel was saying, it's not going to be like, usually there's discussion boards, and if you're the discussion board leader, you're putting up questions, and they're usually excellent. I have yet to run into a graduate course where we haven't had superb questions that are worth engaging. And so I do feel a little bit hope that you aren't going to be missing out on that, because you're the sparking of different thoughts of engaging the content and then applying it to our final projects and plans. That's been very helpful to get people's thinking going. So I put in here these what to look for or what to think about as you're writing section 1. And then with section 2, then that's where you're going to be doing these frameworks. And so I've got some videos there to help you with that. And then the third part is where you're actually applying it. And that has historically been the easier part for people. The toughest part has been the first part. And so that's where our book, Alex Shervin Vinet's book, Equity Centered Trauma Informed Education. This book's going to be all over section 1. So I'm really, really going to look for this book to be all over section 1, and the literature that's in the modules on exemplary teaching. So kind of the big thing that I've seen sometimes people stumble over is they think that exemplary teaching just means like it's just any kind of good teaching. And actually it's a research grounded, a specific type of research that's been documented over generations. And the research I have done, and there's a whole discipline on it, not just my research, but a lot of scholars have researched it on exemplary Black teachers, but they are not the only group that have done that. Like there's work by on Indigenous scholars or Indigenous teachers who have done exemplary teachings. So what you're looking at with that is you're looking at kind of two main things here. What makes these teachers exemplary? And what do we mean by that? That's actually a research-based definition. It isn't just like, well, we're going to just pull something out of the sky and say, well, this is good teaching. It's actually evidence-based. And so these are teachers who are successful with learners that other teachers have continued to fail with. And so there's 3 things that that kind of the big pillars are, all of these frameworks kind of fit under these 3 pillars. And the first one is high levels of academic achievement. And then the second pillar is high levels of cultural competence. And the third one is really the kicker, high levels of criticality. So sometimes you will see teachers who, and even will have a framework where you'll see high levels of academic achievement, high levels of cultural competence, but it's still not considered exemplary by the research definition if it doesn't have that third pillar of criticality. So the reason I kind of emphasize that so much is because I've seen people have to rewrite whole sections because they completely missed the boat on the criticality part. So the first part is really defining you know, two things. What is it that makes 21st century teaching different from 20th century and before that? And then what does that mean? Those three pillars. And so the first part is very much about how does this issue of how common schools become public schools, and public means that we don't get to choose which students we're going to teach as they come through the door, but it's a public, so all are welcome and all should have a quality education. Well, given that historically we know there's whole mountains of research showing that our schools have never and still don't serve all learners equally well, so therefore, if you and I, which I know we did, we came into schools as teachers to be effective teachers with all students, not just some students, then what do we have to do to make it so that this educational pipeline is not leaking anymore? And so that's what a lot of the readings in the first couple modules and in the textbook are about that. So high levels of academic achievement, high levels of cultural competence, and high levels of criticality, and that is coming together to address that historical leaking of educational pipelines. Even here in Utah, our schools also have not served all learners equally well. And so being public, it's for the public. And so each child should have a quality, access to quality, equitable education, no matter what their identities are or their background is. All children should have a quality education. So why isn't it happening? Why hasn't it happened? And what do we do about that? And that's really what Vinay's book is about, and a lot of the readings in the first couple modules. So that's our main push for this first little section. And that one, I would say, tends to be the one that's not really surprisingly, the first section's tough, and it is like, even when you're doing a research project like a thesis or a dissertation, if you can get the first part right and you can get that foundation solid, then the rest of it kind of flows from it. Not that it's easy, but you got a good solid foundation, and that sets the course for you. So that's why I want to be super supportive of you as you get it off the ground. So each of these, if you finish watching the overview of the course, and then you start with these videos about the particular sections, I added in this section here where I explain comparing the frameworks and the Utah effective teaching. I feel like I didn't have it as clear in this video here. So I feel like this video is a little bit, I bring in the Utah effective teaching and the core curriculum a little bit better there. And then I even made a video of how I would evaluate someone's teaching using those frameworks. And it's tied to, I don't know if this is making sense because I'm talking about the whole big project, and maybe you haven't, you're still like, what is she talking about with section 1? Section 2 and section 3 build on section 1. And so maybe that makes a little bit more sense why I want to be available to you, to Zoom with you, to see what kind of questions you have. I thought this first one, we can say, okay, we're getting off the ground, we're getting this launched. But then as you kind of dig in a little bit, you might have more questions. So let me be quiet for a little while and let maybe you have some thoughts, some fears, some concerns, some worries, or some little nuggets that you're excited about. I will tell you, I'm super good at wait time.
I know. I'm feeling very excited to not have to do this while also being in the middle of teaching, working on that, like some of the projects and things while also teaching, has been challenging. So I'm excited to have some time where it's like, oh, it's summer.
Oh yeah, yeah. That is so true. Even now that's a challenge for me, but I do remember that too, being in the K-12 classroom and, trying to write these, big projects, big papers, and my children thought that typing was my hobby. They didn't realize that I was in graduate school. So it definitely makes a difference when you have a little bit of time to focus on it, especially stuff like this, which is so deep. I really don't think 7 weeks is a good, it really should have a full semester. But there's advantages too, to just being like super focused, work super hard, and then you're done in 7 weeks. So it has its pros and cons for that, for sure. But definitely that's very real, Miss Chantel.
I just have a question about that. With it being, you said that we have the option to take the whole semester, or we could do it, within that 7 weeks.
Yeah.
If we do it within that 7 weeks, or a little after, or whatever, 8 weeks or whatever, I'm just wondering when grades will be posted to transcripts, just so, because this is my last class before I can move Elaine, and I want my raise.
Yes.
So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, I'm just hoping that that's going to not be affected if it goes into August. Does that make sense?
Yes, it sure does. And you are earning it, and those lane changes are important.
They are.
Nothing to sneeze at. I hear you on that one. With that one, we don't have when the grades are posted on your transcript, you and I don't have any control over that, since the university blocked us as a full semester course. Even if you finish in like 7, 8, or even 9 weeks, anywhere before the final day of instruction on the 20th of August, your grades still don't get posted until like August 23rd. So is that going to slow you down with that lane change?
If it is, I'm probably gonna throw a fit, because when I signed up for this class, they told me it was a 7-week class, and so that's why I signed up for it in the summer, so that I could get it done, so that I could have my transcript grade posted, and I can turn that in.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I am
I'll
concerned about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about the background about that. So what normally happens is this course is not offered every semester. And so the reason we only have 4 scholars enrolled in it is because the university, and specifically the College of Education, was saying, okay, we've got these few that we don't want them to have to wait until fall, when it will be offered again. And so even though we're going to take a loss with because they normally don't have a course that has less than 8 people in it. Sometimes they'll do 6, but never 4. And so this was really reaching out and saying, we care about these students not having to wait for another semester or two to have to finish this up. And so that's the only reason that it's even offered this summer with 4 students in it. They really don't do that. So it was kind of trying to be a compromise.
Okay.
Yeah, but no doubt, I don't mess with people's money because that's so serious. Yeah. Yeah. Other thoughts, Miss Dominica, you're expecting a baby, so that can, I know I had 2 babies during my first master's degree. So how you
Yes.
doing?
I'm good. I'm due in July. So my hopes is to have this done by the time the baby comes, so that 7-8 week period. But I think I'm also doing an independent study class with you starting in July. So we'll see how that goes.
Which one is that?
Is what I don't know. That's what they told me, and I'm signed up for it, and you're the head of that as well. I don't know. It's one of those, they just threw me in and said good luck sort of things because they didn't offer it and no one else was in it. So
Was
yeah.
it critical pedagogy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, that does start in July. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to have this one done and doing well so that way I can focus on just that one.
Yeah, I think
But
it's going to be a regular class.
oh, good.
Yeah. This one is more, normally it would be an independent study, but then since there's 4 of you, the university said, well, we'll take a hit for the team and make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me feel better because I was like, I
Like,
don't know how that's gonna go.
who was going to teach it, Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have to say, I mean, better than I do, because I'm coming in as faculty, but honestly, I've taught at a lot of universities, and this one really seems like they are honestly about the student. Maybe it doesn't always feel that on your side. I don't know, since I'm not in your shoes. From my perspective, it looks like they try to do, be very, very student-centered. Usually, I mean, often that's a plaque on the wall, but what I've seen so far, and of course, I'm not in your shoes, so, this could be way off. But it seems to me that they really try to be responsive to students' needs. And I think, when you have professionals who are actually working and teachers are already underpaid and overworked, and then they're trying to do graduate level work, I mean, you've got some very busy people on your hands. And having a baby. So how do you feel? Do you feel like you all can, you're ready to, like, you're gonna finish the videos and you know what you need to do to get a good draft into and start working on section 1?
I know I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, sorry.
Nope, you're fine. Go ahead.
I'm feeling pretty good about getting started. I know once I get started, I'm going to have questions, but I do feel good about like completing the reading and getting things started.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's reasonable. Because once you get into it, questions should arise, and then kind of keep track of them, and let's see if we can get to those. So maybe we won't. Oh, did we ever decide on do we want to stick? We don't want to stick with Tuesdays. I mean, Wednesdays. I'll send a poll out and we can figure that out. But in order to address what you're talking about, Ms. Chantel, maybe we can check back in 2 weeks and see you know, how are you doing? By that time, you should have the reading done for section 1, and if you have kind of a running list of questions in that, you know, then hopefully I can be helpful to you in that sense, so that we can work smarter, not harder.
Okay. I think reconvening in 2 weeks feels good for me. It gives me time to like wrap my head around everything, get started, and then come with questions.
Yeah, and we're not gonna be, we gotta watch out for the week of the 5th.
So
And
that would put it, if you do it in 2 weeks, that's the week before the 5th, so the week of the 26th.
okay,
So I'm good with that week.
okay.
Wait,
Okay.
sorry, never mind. That's the week of the 29th. Sorry, I was looking in June.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at my calendar too. Okay, so 2 weeks from today would put us on the 31st. Does that look and sound okay for 4 o'clock? Would that be okay?
Are you guys teachers? Are you teaching right now? When is your guys' last day of school?
My last day of school is June.
Mine's next Friday.
Next Friday.
Mine's the 26th of May.
Oh, lucky.
Yes.
I know, that's mine too. Where are you teaching at, Dominica?
I'm at Reagan Academy in Springville.
Oh, okay. So I'm in Spanish
Yeah.
4 with Nebo.
Okay,
Chantel, where are you
okay.
teaching at?
I teach in Grand County. I'm in Moab.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
He's teaching in Nebo.
You did your student teaching, is that what you said?
Yeah, in Nebo.
Where
Mhm.
at in Nebo? Which school?
In Go Shoot.
In
yeah.
Goshen?
Go Shoot. Go Shoot.
Goshen.
Yeah, Go Shoot. Right on the south end of the school district.
At
Yeah.
an elementary school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Second.
so it's called Goshen.
Oh, Goshen. Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's the indigenous nation. Go Shoot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I actually live in Santaquin,
Oh, okay.
so it's right by Goshen, kind of.
Okay. Good to
Yep.
know. Yeah, that's been a long time ago. 30 years ago. Yeah. So, okay, did we make a decision then? So is everybody's out of school on the 26th? And
Chantel's not. She doesn't get out till June.
Yeah, but as long as we do 4 o'clock or later, I can do it just after work.
okay. All right. And what time do you get off? Did you say, Miss Chantel?
My last day of school is June 2nd.
Oh, a full week after that. Okay.
I know.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. It used to be worse in Massachusetts. They used to have all these snow days. So I thought they were going to go to school even at the 4th of July. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So tentative. Well, can we put it on the calendar for the 31st then? 4 o'clock.
Sounds good to me. Yep.
Okay. And we'll record it then as well. And do you need anything else? I'm not trying to rush. I just want to use your time wisely.
I just have a question. So I printed off like the assignment kind of section 1 introduction, and then it has, and you mentioned it is an ABCDEF checklist, but it's not really a checklist. Like that's just kind of things to consider, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of what we are basing off of our section 1 off of those questions and comments and things like that. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, yes. So that'll make more sense to you once you have finished watching the video and watch the video on section 1 as well. And then I keep on saying it because that's where I keep sending people back to, is they will then just try to write it without referring to this text or the readings. and this is a graduate level course. So you got to engage the research on it. So when you're reading the text and the readings in the first couple modules, if you kind of know what you're reading for, because you're like, oh, I'm going to be writing for, my first part's going to be about that leaking educational pipeline. And so that's setting the stage for exemplary teaching in the 21st century. I got to read to find out what that is. So that'll help you cue your reading a little bit better if you know. You can, skim some parts. If you know what you're reading for, then you're just like reading it very intentionally, not just like perusing through it, but you're like, I got to find this out about it. And I think that it'll make more sense to you once you kind of have watched the videos.
Okay, I just have one more question. In some of my other classes with Dr. Ludlow, he's put some examples of like thesis papers. Do you have any that we could kind of look at to kind of get an idea, or do you not do that?
I have some. I don't like to do it. I will consider it after we've kind of seen the first draft. And the reason that I don't like to do it, although sometimes I've seen it come in very helpful, but the reason I don't, if at all possible, is because then I get a whole bunch of the same thing. So once I kind of say, well, here's an example of it, I get a whole bunch more of the same thing. And I'd rather have, because the whole point of this project or plan is not simply just to write a paper, but it's supposed to be actually useful. So the reason it's supposed to be useful is that it should be, well, this is the research empirically based definition of exemplary teaching in the 21st century. I have to know what that means in actually an empirical way. And then I have to look at my own teaching in my own classroom, and I need to assess it. And how can I assess my own teaching unless I know what exemplary teaching is? And so then I can apply that lens to my own classroom, and then I can make a plan based on my assessment of my classroom so that I can see where I am and take the strong points that I already have and keep refining them and tweaking what I'm doing already in my classroom to move it closer to exemplary teaching in the 21st century. So it's not supposed to be just a paper that shows I engage these ideas, I know what they mean, and I'm going to spit them back out to you. It's supposed to be actually a product that you could use actually and implement in your own classroom. And if we had like semester 2, then I would actually have you collect data on your classroom and see, how are you doing now that you have your plan, you implement your plan. But since we only have one semester, you come up with your plan, and then if you want to go ahead and implement it and, collect data on your own teaching, you can do that. And it could even be part of a thesis project for sure. So a lot of people do finish it with finding that it's very useful, that they can use it in as they work with colleagues, and that even offer professional development and coaching new teachers, things like that. So it's not supposed to be just kind of this generic thing. It's supposed to be unique to each teacher. And so, but as you know, teaching is always an expression of yourself. And so I can't be you and you can't be me. We always have to be our best. We can be our best self, and we're going to always be a poor imitation of someone else. However, teaching is not just this kind of individualist, eccentric sort of thing that's unique to me, for example. Instead, there are principles that we say, well, even though a teaching is an expression of myself, there are principles that we can actually document and evaluate and collect data on, which all exemplary teachers do. So it might be expressed in my classroom a little bit different because it's my classroom and not your classroom. But even though I'm different than you are, then we're still, as exemplary teachers, you're going to see those same principles running through our teaching, even though my teaching is an expression of me and your teaching is an expression of you. So if that makes any sense, there is this undergirding that is not just like willy-nilly, you know, there's actually a craftsmanship element to it where I have my style, you have yours, but there are standards of what exemplary teachers do. So this is supposed to be tailored to each particular teacher. So as we move along and you get further into it, if you feel like you're like, man, I have been doing everything I can and I'm still not really clear on it, I would love to see an example. I do have them. So I'm not going to say that's not on the table, but it's never my first hope that, because I just know teachers are very creative. So hopefully that makes you feel a little calmer, like there are some things in the wings, but I have every confidence in you. And, you know, let's just see how it goes. If
Okay,
you
that sounds
feel
great.
very anxious, you know, we'll make it happen.
Okay. And then do you have a length that you would prefer it to be, or is it just how long do you want it to be, I guess?
I know students don't like this answer, but it's the best and most precise answer I can say. Keep it as short and precise as you can, but say everything that you need to show what it is that you're talking about. So I keep an eye on the big picture, and so don't ramble on, you know, but at the same time, don't think that your words are not important. You know, I will read every single word that you write. So I value what you write. And if you needed more words to say it, I'm not going to put an arbitrary thing on it. They tend to be pretty good sized documents. So every teacher's a little different.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you answering my questions.
You are very welcome. That is what I aim to do, is be to serve. I aim to please, even when I'm not always successful. Okay, Miss Chantel, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm kind of excited to start this because, as you know, like I started this course already and wasn't able to get to this big project. So I'm actually really excited to dive into it and have the space to do that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm so happy for you because there's always a time and a place for things. You know, sometimes I think, you know, we think that it has to be in this particular order, but sometimes that doesn't work for every particular individual. We're just, you know, we have different life circumstances. And I know when I was in graduate school, I had 6 children, I was working. And, you know, so sometimes I would compare myself to these other graduate students who had no children and worked only one job. And that was a little ridiculous of me. So everybody has their own kind of circumstances that they need to be responsive to. And it is totally okay to say, I'm going to do that later, or I need to reset the button. And I think too many people get hard on themselves when it's like, you know, you really are juggling a lot of things. And being a teacher takes a lot because you're giving, and then that's not your only role. You have roles in your families and your communities and so on. So, and then we ask you to be this top of the line graduate student. So I'm impressed. I am.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this round. I think it'll be much more successful.
Yeah. And sometimes that's what it takes. Yep. With no apologies, right? It is what it is. So I'm so glad that it worked out. And Miss Dominica, what about you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm always a little nervous to get started, but I think once I get going on it, I'll feel better about it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like that too. I'm all nerves getting started. Then once you get into it, yeah, it kind of rolls along. So we do our little check-in in 2 weeks at 4 o'clock. We'll see how everybody's doing and feeling. Okay, sound good? Okay, all righty. Well, have a great rest of your evening then. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Brenda, I have one more question, and this is actually for Dominica. So Chantel, I'm sorry, you don't have to listen to this. I have a critical pedagogy book that I bought for when I took the critical pedagogy class, and I told Dominica that she could have it, but I want to make sure that it's, do you have a required book for that class?
Yes.
Is it a blue? I don't even know what it is. I'd have to hurry and go grab it. Is it, which book is your required text?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but I do believe it is what Dr. Kramer has used.
Let me hurry and go grab it. I know right where it is, and then I'll show you and see if it's the same book. Because if it is, then I'll get it to Dominica. Hang on 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm not sure I'll be able to answer that because I have to look at it. I haven't taught it for more than 6 months. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. I can't remember what we used.
If it's the same as Dr. Kramer,
Yeah.
the critical pedagogy reader is like that big blue one. That's what I had to use for Dr. Kramer's class as well.
Oh, is that it?
That one.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the one I use.
Yeah. I have, yeah.
It's like
I
fuzzy.
think that is it because I see mine sitting right there. I haven't taught it in about 6 months, so I can't remember.
So there's that one, and then I have this. It's a yellow one. It's called Teaching to Transgress.
Oh, I love that one. I'm not going to use it, but that
Okay.
one's a keeper. Woo.
Okay, but you are using this one though.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, there you go, Dominica. It's all yours.
Perfect. Thank you.
So
Yep.
great. Wow, that's so impressive.
I'll text you and we'll figure out times to get it to you. Okay.
Okay. That works. Thank you. We're
Thanks.
close, so that works.
You bet. You bet.
All right.
Need to meet everybody. Have a
Yeah,
good
nice
too.
to meet you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
All
See
right.
ya.